Emma Wilson wiped her forehead with the back of her hand as she rushed between tables at Joe's Diner in downtown Philadelphia. The small restaurant buzzed with the Friday evening crowd. Plates clattered. People talked loudly. The smell of fried food filled the air. Emma had worked at Joe's for 3 years now. At 26, she was the oldest waitress there. Most girls left after a few months, finding better jobs or moving away. But Emma stayed. She needed the money. Back home, her younger sister Kate was studying at college. Their parents had died in a car crash 5 years ago, leaving Emma to look after Kate. The college fees were high. The rent was late again, and Emma's bank account was nearly empty. "Order up," called Bill the cook, ringing the small bell. Emma grabbed 2 plates of burger and chips. She forced a smile as she placed them in front of an older couple. "Enjoy your meal," she said warmly, even though her feet hurt and her back ached. The bell above the door rang. Emma looked up to see a tall man walk in. He wore a dark hoodie pulled low over his face. He moved quickly to the corner booth, keeping his head down. Emma noticed how people moved out of his way without thinking. He was very big, taller and wider than anyone else in the diner. Emma picked up a menu and walked over. "Good evening, sir. Welcome to Joe's," she said. The man looked up slightly. Emma caught her breath. She knew that face. Everyone knew that face. It was Shaquille O'Neal, Big Shaq, the famous basketball player. Emma had seen him on TV many times. Kate loved basketball and talked about him often. "Just a menu, please," he said quietly, "and maybe a seat where people won't stare too much." Emma nodded, understanding right away. "This corner is the quietest spot we have. Would you like a coffee while you look at the menu?" "Yes, please," he said, sounding relieved that she hadn't screamed his name. Emma walked back to get the coffee. Her boss, Harry, frowned at her. "Who's the big guy?" Harry asked. "Looks like trouble." "Just a customer," Emma said firmly. "He wants some peace and quiet." Emma poured the coffee and brought it over. She noticed 2 teenage boys looking toward Big Shaq's table. They were nudging each other, pointing and taking out their phones. Emma stepped between them and the corner booth. "Can I help you, boys?" "With anything?" she asked loudly. They shook their heads, put their phones away and went back to their chips. When Emma returned to Big Shaq's table, he smiled gratefully. "Thanks for that. You saw what they were doing." "Don't worry," Emma said. "Everyone deserves to eat in peace." She took out her notepad. "What can I get you?" "I'll have the biggest burger you've got, extra chips and a chocolate milkshake," he said. Emma wrote it down. "Coming right up." For the next hour, Emma kept watch over Big Shaq's table. When customers tried to look his way, she would step into their line of sight. When people walked toward his table, she would suddenly appear with water jugs or napkins. She became his shield against unwanted attention. The diner grew busier. Emma's other tables needed her too. She ran back and forth, serving food, taking orders, cleaning tables. Her tip jar slowly filled with coins and small notes, money that would help pay for Kate's books this month. When Big Shaq finished his meal, Emma brought the bill. He looked up at her with kind eyes. "Thank you," he said. "You know who I am." "Don't you?" Emma nodded. "Yes, sir, my sister is a big fan. But you didn't make a fuss. You didn't ask for a photo or an autograph." Emma shrugged. "Everyone needs normal moments, even famous people." Big Shaq laughed softly. "This is the first proper meal I've had all day. Everywhere else, people recognized me straight away. Phones in my face, kids wanting autographs. I just wanted to eat in peace." "I'm glad you found some peace here," Emma said. "What's your name?" he asked. "Emma." "Well, Emma, you're good people." He looked around the busy diner. "You work hard." "I try," she said simply. She didn't tell him about Kate or the bills or the worry that kept her awake at night. Big Shaq seemed to see something in her face anyway. He looked at her closely, then down at the bill. "I'll be back again tomorrow," he said. "This place has the best service in Philadelphia." Emma smiled, feeling a small glow of pride. As she watched him leave, pulling his hoodie back up, she didn't know that this simple meeting would change her life forever. She just went back to work, picking up dirty plates from table 7, thinking about the bus timetable and whether she would make it home before Kate went to sleep. Emma watched as Big Shaq finished the last of his chocolate milkshake. The diner had grown quieter now as the dinner rush ended. Only a few tables remained filled. Emma had been careful all evening, making sure no one bothered the famous basketball player. She felt proud that he had enjoyed a peaceful meal in her section. She printed his bill and walked over to his table. "Was everything good for you tonight, sir?" she asked with a warm smile. "Best burger I've had in weeks," Big Shaq replied. He reached into his pocket for his wallet. His hand moved to another pocket, then another. His friendly face suddenly changed. His eyes grew wide. "Oh no," he said quietly. He checked his hoodie pockets again. "I can't believe this." Emma waited, patiently. She had seen this happen before with other customers. Big Shaq looked up at her, his face red with embarrassment. "I'm so sorry," he said. "This has never happened to me before. I left my wallet in my other jacket at the hotel." He shook his head. "I changed clothes before coming out so people wouldn't notice me." Emma bit her lip. She glanced toward the back of the diner, where Mr. Baker's office door stood half open. Mr. Baker owned Joe's Diner, and he was very strict about the rules. Just last week, he had shouted at Emma when a teenage boy had run out without paying. "Your section, your problem," he had told her. The bill on the table showed $47.85. It was a lot of money. Almost half of what Emma had made in tips today. Money she needed for Kate's college books. "Don't worry about it, sir," Emma said in a low voice. She picked up the bill from the table. "These things happen," Big Shaq frowned. No, I can't. Let you get in trouble. Let me call my driver to bring my wallet, or I can come back tomorrow with the money." Emma shook her head. "It's fine, really. It would cause more attention if your driver came. That's the last thing you want, right?" She didn't wait for his answer. Emma walked quickly to the cash register. She took out her own money, the tips she had been saving all day, and paid for his meal. The cashier, Jenny, raised her eyebrows, but didn't say anything. Emma returned to Big Shaq's table with the receipt marked, "Paid." Big Shaq stared at her in surprise. "Did you just pay for my meal?" Emma nodded, feeling a little shy now. "It's no big deal." "It is a big deal," he said firmly. "You shouldn't have done that. You work hard for your money." He took out his phone. "Please take my number. I want to pay you back tomorrow." Emma hesitated. She didn't want anything in return. She had simply wanted to help someone who had been kind to her, but she could see that he felt bad about the situation. "Okay," she said, taking out her notepad and writing down the number he gave her. "I promise I'll make this right," Big Shaq said. "What you did was really kind." Emma smiled. "Everyone needs kindness sometimes, even famous basketball players." Big Shaq stood up to leave. He was so tall that his head nearly touched the ceiling lights. "Thank you, Emma. I won't forget this." What neither of them knew was that Mr. Baker had been watching everything from his office doorway. His thin face had grown darker with each passing moment. His eyes narrowed as he saw Emma pay the bill with her own money. He watched as she wrote down the basketball player's number. In Mr. Baker's mind, something very different was happening. "She's trying to get close to a celebrity," he thought angrily, "using my diner to make famous friends." He had always been a jealous man. He didn't like it when his waitresses got more attention than his food. Mr. Baker watched as Big Shaq left the diner, pulling his hoodie back up before stepping outside. He saw how Emma smiled as she cleared the table. He noticed the receipt marked, "Paid," in her apron pocket. Breaking the rules again, he muttered to himself. Last month she had given free coffee to an old man who had lost his bus pass. The month before she had reduced a bill when a mother couldn't afford to pay for her children's meals. Mr. Baker had warned her each time. He didn't care about reasons. Rules were rules. Emma finished cleaning Big Shaq's table, unaware of her boss's angry stare. She felt good about what she had done. Yes, the money would be missed, but somehow it seemed worth it. She thought about telling Kate about meeting the famous basketball player. Kate would be so excited. As Emma moved on to her next table, Mr. Baker returned to his office. He sat down at his desk and wrote a note in the staff book. Tomorrow would be Emma's last day at Joe's Diner. He had made up his mind. Outside, Big Shaq walked to his waiting car, thinking about the kind waitress who had helped him. Something about her had touched his heart. The way she worked so hard. The gentle way she had solved his problem. The fact that she had paid for his meal with her own money when she clearly didn't have much to spare. "Emma," he said to himself, as his driver pulled away from the diner, "I need to do something special for that girl." Emma woke up early the next morning. The sun had just started to rise as she got dressed for work. Her small flat was quiet. Kate had left yesterday to visit a friend at another college for the weekend. "Another day, another $1, Emma said to herself as she put on her blue waitress uniform. She thought about the tips she had lost by paying for Big Shaq's meal. It was a lot of money, but she didn't regret helping him. The bus was nearly empty this early. Emma looked out the window, planning her day. She would ask Mr. Baker for extra hours next week. Kate's college bill was due soon, and the rent was already 2 weeks late. Their landlord had called twice yesterday. When Emma arrived at Joe's diner, something felt wrong. Jenny, the cashier, wouldn't look at her. Bill, the cook, turned away when she said good morning. Then she saw Mr. Baker standing by the kitchen door watching her. "Wilson," he called sharply. "My office." Now. Emma's stomach tightened. Mr. Baker never called staff to his office unless there was trouble. She followed him to the small room at the back of the diner. The office was tiny with just a desk and 2 chairs. Mr. Baker sat down but didn't ask Emma to sit. "Do you know why you're here?" he asked coldly. Emma shook her head. Her mouth felt dry. "I saw what happened last night," Mr. Baker said. "With that basketball player?" "Oh," Emma said, relieved. "Yes, there was a mix-up with his bill. He forgot his wallet, so you paid it yourself," Mr. Baker cut in. "After spending all evening giving him special treatment?" Emma blinked in surprise. "I was just trying to give him some privacy. He's famous and..." "Famous?" Mr. Baker's face turned red. "That's what this is about, isn't it? You were trying to get his attention, trying to make friends with a celebrity." "No, sir," Emma said. "That's not true at all. I was just breaking the rules," Mr. Baker interrupted again. "We have rules here, Wilson. No free food, no special treatment, no personal phone numbers. From customers." Emma felt her face grow hot. "I didn't give him free food. I paid for his meal myself. With money from your tips. Tips you earned in my diner. Which means the books don't balance right." Mr. Baker's voice grew louder. "And I saw you writing down his phone number. He wanted to pay me back," Emma explained. "I didn't ask for his number." Mr. Baker stood up. 5 years I've had this diner, 5 years of hard work. I don't need waitresses who think they're better than the rules." Emma's heart began to race. "Mr. Baker, please. I've worked here for 3 years. I've never been late. I've covered other people's shifts. You've had warnings before," Mr. Baker said. "The free coffee for that old man. The reduced bill for that family." "Those were special cases," Emma said. Her voice shook. "People who needed help. Not your place to decide." Mr. Baker pointed at her. "This is my diner, my rules." Emma took a deep breath. "Sir, I need this job. My sister..." "Not my problem," Mr. Baker said. "You're fired, Wilson. Clean out your locker and go." The words hit Emma like a slap. "Fired? After 3 years? For helping someone?" "You can't be serious," she whispered. "Dead serious." Mr. Baker opened the office door. "Jenny will give you your last pay envelope, minus the basketball player's bill." Of course, Emma stood frozen. This couldn't be happening, not now, not with the rent due and Kate's college fees to pay. "Please," she tried one more time. "It won't happen again." "Too late," Mr. Baker said. "Out. Now." Emma walked slowly to the staff room. Her legs felt heavy, her head spun with worry. What would she do now? How would she tell Kate? Where would she find another job quickly? The staff room was empty. Emma opened her locker and began to take out her things, a spare hairband, a novel she read during breaks, a photo of her and Kate at the beach last summer. The door opened behind her. It was Jenny holding a small white envelope. "Your pay," Jenny said quietly. She looked sad. "I'm sorry, Emma. What Mr. Baker did isn't right." Emma took the envelope. It felt thin. "Thanks. That basketball player," Jenny said. "He seemed nice. You did the right thing helping him." Emma nodded. She couldn't speak. Tears filled her eyes. Bill says there might be a job at his cousin's cafe, Jenny added. I can ask if you want. That would be good, Emma managed to say. But they both knew a cafe job wouldn't pay as well as the diner. The tips were less and Emma needed every penny. When Jenny left, Emma sat on the small bench and let the tears fall. 3 years of hard work ended just like that. No warning, no chance to explain properly. No fairness. She thought about Kate studying hard to become a doctor. Their parents would have been so proud. Emma had promised to take care of her little sister, to make sure she finished college. Now that promise felt impossible to keep. Emma wiped her eyes and finished clearing her locker. As she folded her spare uniform, tears dropped onto the blue fabric. The unfairness of it all hurt more than the worry about money. She had only tried to be kind. Outside the sun was shining. People walked past, going to work or school, normal people with normal days. Emma stood on the pavement, holding her small bag of belongings, feeling lost and alone. What do I do now? She whispered to herself. She had no answer. What Emma didn't know as she walked away from Joe's diner was that she had been seen. Not just by Mr. Baker, but by someone else too. Dorothy Brown sat in a corner booth every Tuesday and Friday. She was a retired teacher who liked the diner's cheap tea and toast. Yesterday she had been there during the dinner rush. She had watched Emma help the tall man in the hoodie. She had seen how Emma made sure no one bothered him. And she had noticed when Emma paid for his meal with her own money. Dorothy had also recognized the man. Big Shaq was hard to miss, even with a hoodie. Dorothy's grandson played basketball and had posters of Big Shaq all over his bedroom walls. What Emma and Big Shaq hadn't noticed was Dorothy quietly filming their talk with her phone. Her grandson had shown her how to use the camera last Christmas. Just in case you see something interesting, he had said. Now, sitting at home, Dorothy watched the video again. She could clearly see Emma taking money from her tip jar to pay for Big Shaq's meal. She could hear their words. Everyone needs kindness sometimes, even famous basketball players. Dorothy felt angry when she heard from Jenny that Emma had been fired. She decided to do something about it. Her grandson had also shown her how to use Facebook. That evening, Dorothy posted the video online. She wrote above it, "Kind waitress uses her own money to help Big Shaq, then gets fired for it. Share to help her get justice." Dorothy had only 43 friends on Facebook. She didn't expect much to happen, but one of her friends shared it, then another. Then people who weren't her friends started sharing it too. By midnight, the video had been seen by hundreds of people. By morning, thousands. Comments appeared below the video. Who fires someone for being kind? This is what's wrong with the world today. I'm never eating at Joe's diner again. Big Shaq needs to find this angel in blue. Local news websites picked up the story. A reporter visited Joe's diner, but Mr. Baker refused to talk. Other waitresses told the reporter about Emma, how she always worked hard, how she was putting her sister through college, how she often helped customers who were short of money. By afternoon, the video had reached the local TV news. "A waitress fired for an act of kindness," the newsreader said. "The story that has our city talking." Meanwhile, Emma knew nothing about any of this. Her phone had been cut off last week because she couldn't pay the bill. She had no computer at home. She spent the day walking from cafe to cafe, restaurant to restaurant, asking for work. "Sorry, we're not hiring. Come back next month. Leave your number. We'll call you." By evening, Emma's feet hurt and her hope was gone. She sat on a bench in the park, counting the money in her pay envelope. After Mr. Baker took out the cost of Big Shaq's meal, there wasn't much left. Not enough for the rent. Not enough for Kate's college fees. What am I going to tell her? Emma whispered to herself. She couldn't bear the thought of calling Kate at her friend's house with such bad news. Across town, in a luxury hotel, Big Shaq was relaxing after a charity event when his phone buzzed. His assistant, Robert, came into the room looking worried. "You need to see this," Robert said, showing him the phone. Big Shaq watched the video. He saw himself talking to Emma. He heard her kind words. Then he read the caption about her being fired. "Is this true?" he asked. Robert nodded. "It's all over the internet. Local news too." Big Shaq stood up, his face serious. "Find her," he said. "Find Emma Wilson." "I'll try," Robert said, "but it might take some time. We don't have her address and her phone seems to be off." "I don't care how long it takes," Big Shaq said firmly. "That woman helped me when she didn't have to. Now she's lost her job because of it. We need to make this right." Robert made some calls. He contacted the local news station. He sent someone to Joe's Diner to ask questions. He searched online for Emma Wilson, Philadelphia. Back in her small flat, Emma made a simple dinner of beans on toast. She tried to think of a plan. Maybe she could sell something, but they had nothing valuable. Take out a loan. But who would give her one with no job? There was a knock at the door. Emma opened it to find her neighbor, Mrs. Cooper. "Emma, dear," the old lady said, "is your phone not working? People have been trying to call the building phone for you all day. Something about you being on the news?" Emma frowned in confusion. "The news? Me? There must be some mistake." "Well, there's a young man downstairs now," Mrs. Cooper said. "Says he works for some basketball player. Says it's important he talks to you." Emma's heart jumped. Could it be? Had Big Shaq found out what happened? "Tell him I'll be right down," Emma said. As she quickly fixed her hair and straightened her clothes, Emma had no idea that her act of kindness was about to change her life forever. She only knew that, for the first time that day, she felt a small spark of hope. Emma woke up early the next morning. She had barely slept. After meeting Robert, Big Shaq's assistant, she had been too excited to rest properly. Robert had told her that Big Shaq wanted to meet her today at 10 o'clock at the City Hall. He wouldn't say why. The flat felt empty without Kate. Emma missed her sister's cheerful morning chatter. She checked the fridge and found they were out of milk. With a sigh, Emma counted the coins in her purse, just enough for a small bottle. The morning was bright but cold as Emma walked to the corner shop. Inside, the owner, Tom, looked at her with wide eyes. "Well, look who it is," Tom said, loudly. "The famous Emma Wilson." Emma stopped, confused. "Famous? What are you talking about?" Tom pointed to a newspaper on the counter. Emma's face was on the front page. The headline read, "Waitress fired after helping basketball star. You're all..." "Over the internet too," Tom said. "Everyone's talking about you." Emma picked up the newspaper with shaking hands. There she was, standing next to Big Shaq's table. The picture must have been taken by someone in the diner. "I don't understand," Emma whispered. "Some old lady filmed you being kind to that basketball fellow," Tom explained. "Posted it online. Then, when word got out you were fired for it, people got angry. Really angry." Emma put down the newspaper. Her head was spinning. Can I see?" she asked. Tom handed her his phone. "Look for yourself." Emma scrolled through page after page of posts about her. The video had been viewed millions of times. There were thousands of comments. "Emma Wilson is a hero. This is what real kindness looks like. Someone give this girl a medal." Even more surprising were the angry messages about Mr. Baker and Joe's Diner. "Boycott Joe's Diner. Worst boss in Philadelphia. Justice for Emma." As Emma stood there in shock, Tom's phone rang. He answered it, then looked at Emma. "It's for you," he said. "Someone called Robert?" Emma took the phone with a trembling hand. "Hello?" "Emma Wilson?" a professional voice asked. "This is Robert again, Big Shaq's assistant. We met yesterday. I'm glad I found you. Your phone seems to be off." "Yes, I couldn't pay the bill," Emma said quietly. "Well, Big Shaq would like to meet you at the City Hall steps in 45 minutes. Can you be there?" Emma looked down at her. Simple jeans and sweater. Yes, but I'm not dressed for..." "You're perfect just as you are," Robert said kindly. "Just come as yourself." The walk to City Hall took 20 minutes. With each step, Emma wondered what was happening. Why did Big Shaq want to meet her at City Hall? Why were people calling her a hero? She had only done what felt right. As Emma turned the corner, she gasped. A crowd had gathered on the City Hall steps. News vans with tall antennas lined the street. People held phones and cameras. Emma almost turned back. She didn't like being the center of attention, but then she saw Robert waving to her from the bottom step. "You came," he said, smiling. "He'll be so pleased. Come with me." Robert led Emma through the crowd. People moved aside, some patting her shoulder or saying, "Good job." Emma felt her face grow hot with embarrassment. At the top of the steps stood Big Shaq. He wore a smart suit instead of a hoodie. He looked even taller in the daylight. When he saw Emma, his serious face broke into a wide smile. "Emma Wilson," he said loudly, "the kind waitress of Philadelphia." Cameras flashed, people cheered. Emma wanted to disappear. Big Shaq held up his hands for quiet. "2 days ago," he began, "I went to a diner for a quiet meal. This young woman protected my privacy. When I realized I had forgotten my wallet, she paid for my expensive meal with her own tip money. Money she had worked hard for. Money she needed," the crowd murmured. Reporters scribbled notes. "Then," Big Shaq continued, "she was fired for this act of kindness." He shook his head sadly. "When I heard, I knew I had to make this right." He turned to Emma. "I've been looking for someone to run the new community center I'm building here in Philadelphia. Someone with kindness, hard work, and a good heart. I think I've found that person." Emma's mouth fell open. Was he saying what she thought he was? Saying, "Emma Wilson," Big Shaq said, "I'd like to offer you the position of manager at the new Shaq Community Center. The salary is 3 times what you made at the diner." The crowd cheered. Emma couldn't speak. Tears filled her eyes. "That's not all," Big Shaq said. He handed Emma a large envelope. "Open it." With shaking fingers, Emma opened the envelope. Inside was a check with more zeros than she had ever seen before. "That's enough to cover your sister's college education," Big Shaq said quietly. "All of it." Emma looked up at him, tears now flowing freely down her cheeks. "Why?" she whispered. "Why are you doing this?" Big Shaq bent down so his face was level with hers. "Because kindness matters," he said simply. "You reminded me of that. Now I want to remind others." He straightened up and put his large hand gently on Emma's shoulder. "People like you, Emma Wilson, make the world better. One small act at a time." As the cameras flashed again, Emma felt a weight lift from her shoulders. For 3 years since her parents died, she had carried the burden of worry alone. Now, in this moment, because of one simple act of kindness, everything had changed. Later that evening, when Kate called from her friend's house, Emma told her everything. About losing her job, about the video, about Big Shaq's offer. "So you see," Emma finished, "we're going to be okay." "More than okay," Kate said, "and all because you were kind to someone." Emma smiled as she looked out her window at the night sky. "I guess sometimes kindness finds its way back to you," she said softly, and from that day forward, Emma Wilson dedicated herself to creating a place where everyone in the community felt valued and supported. The Shaq Community Center became known as a place of warmth and welcome, much like the woman who ran it.